Good afternoon and welcome to my tutorial on using algebra tiles in Illuminations for any math class. Illuminations is a product of the NCTM, or the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. Now, you can find algebra tile illuminations just simply by typing illuminations into any Google web search, or really any web bar search at all, and you'll see the first one that pops up is Illuminations NCTM. You don't want to go to any Illuminations Inc. You want the NCTM, so that way you know you're getting the reputable National Council of Teachers of Mathematics website. Now, as you enter into this, you'll see there's tons of games and so much information on this website. I suggest any teacher you go to this website. But we are specifically looking at algebra tiles. So how about I type in the right word first, algebra tiles, and we'll get going. So the first one you see that comes up is balancing shapes. This, I just want to take a moment and talk about. This needs to be done with younger students as soon as possible. I've noticed as a high school teacher, and after starting off as an elementary school teacher, I have seen a lot of transition to the new type of math, which is placing a lot of emphasis on algebra bars, and some teachers are just still not able to handle this transition. This is a great way to get teachers on the same page, so that way we get away from just the old rote memorization and the rote times tables. So you want to start out with balancing shapes as early as possible, just so that way kids get an idea of what solving an equation truly is, a balancing of equality. But now we are going to go into the algebra tiles section. So I'm going to go down and click on the algebra tiles, and just a quick look at this page as soon as it pops up. You'll see 4 different tabs that come up through here. Solve equations. That, I'll go back to that. Substitute. This is what we would call plugging it in or evaluating for a variable. So if I want to know what 4x plus 2 is, knowing that x equals 1, I would simply plug in the value of x is 1 down here, and 4x's, that's 4 plus 2, my value would be 6. This is a great way to get students to work on the substitution portion. Expand and factor is also a big part, and we had a pop-up that just seemed to go away, so I hope that didn't mess anything up. We have an expand and factor tabs. These are really big for Algebra 2 and later portions of Algebra 1. A lot of students have a hard time understanding what distribution truly is. This is a good way for them to see that distribution is more than just FOIL. What it really is an expansion of binomials. And by seeing this, when we start going to expand trinomials and things farther down the line, kids will have a much easier time with it. The same thing with factoring. Now we'll go in true Algebra 2, you go into a lot of different concepts with factoring, but this is a great way to start, because basically it just gets to length times width equals area, or the concept of your area will equal length times width. If you don't understand that part, that's fine. That's more for the math teachers out there. But let's go down to solving equations. So we're just going to start off. If you wanted to click on a new equation, you just click here. You see how the paper crumples up and throws away. That just gives you a new problem. But we're going to start with the problem that they gave us right here. So let's go through all the parts of this. First, you have instructions. This walks you through how to use everything in the site. The 4 different modes that I've already talked about, and then the tiles on the right, and then the other tools, which I'm going to go over so that you can read that on your own if you want, but I'm going to explain them right now. So we go back to the activity. When you look at the activity, you have the arrow. That is my pointer right now. You have an eraser. That way we can get rid of any mistakes we have on this side. You have the combiner. This is how you use the properties that -3 plus 3 add to 0, and you'll see as we go through. And then this is the multiplier. This just saves time, which I'll show you right now. So when I look at my equation, my left side is 4, my right side is x minus 4, and my job is to solve for x. So I have to build a physical representation of this model. Doing so, I will bring one tile over. This represents the number 1. This represents the value of x. Notice how this is x by x, thus creating x squared. We will not be using those at this level, but it's good to know for the future, and it's good for kids to see in the beginning how they're going to appear. So I need to show 4 of these. I can simply drag 4 of these over if I want, but as you start using bigger equations and bigger numbers, you might just want to tap these around. And we have our 4 on this side. Now I need an x on this side, and then I need -4. That's where this comes in. These are positives. Now when I click them, they become negatives. I really like this tool for students because a lot of students don't have a very good grasp of what a negative really is. It is simply a difference between having and owing. But a lot of students are very troubled by that, so I think this does a lot to just have them understand negatives are just numbers. They're just numbers that they haven't been working with as much. So I need to bring 4 over. I hit my copy, and I need to make 3 copies. Now, as soon as I believe I had my model built, I hit the check mark. And since you didn't hear a bong sound, you know that you have it correct. Now they're asking us to solve. You will have a sheet with you that should be handed out from the teacher, or the teacher should be handing out to their students. They would record the equation, and now they're going to write down an algebraic representation of the geometric explanation that they're doing in the calculator. So let's see what the geometric representation would be. I have my x on this side, and if I want x by itself, as explained by the balance model for the younger kids that I said to make sure that you use, we will go in, and to get rid of 4 negatives, I need 4 positives. But we also have to remember, whatever we do to one side, we must also do to the other. So let's click this to positive. Let's get our 1 out there, and let's get 3 more. And then remember what I said, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. I think this is very important for students to do this first before they start trying to combine things. You'll see some students trying to start combining this side immediately. That is not a recommendation from me, simply because I don't want students doing more than one step at a time. Show your work, then do your work. This will make students do that stopgap every time, so that way they just don't make silly mistakes. And now we're in the combining section. So I'm going to click the combining section, and I'm going to start combining positives and negatives as they annihilate each other. That's just a word I like to throw in for some of the younger kids. They just seem to like it and eat it up. So now I am at my solution to where I see 1 x bar has a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I believe that is true, I can come up, type in 8. If I am correct and I hit this, it will tell me I'm correct. But let's put in something wrong first, so 6. It should give an orange shot out and make you feel really frustrated. There you go, so you know you were wrong. Now let's go back in and put in the correct answer. And we got it correct, and we have solved an equation using the equation solver on illuminations. Now I'm going to click over to the expand and factor parts because I just want to go over this very quick.